Hey, what's up, guys? This is Fabio from the Real Stay Rock Brazil. Today I got here Eric Jayk, frontman of the New York rock band Wild Street. Eric, how are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good. It's you know, and just a normal Sunday, getting to hang out with my buddy from Brazil. You know,
Man,
it's all good.
likewise here, Eric. Likewise.
Well, we got it together. That's all that matters. You know, it's like sometimes it comes together easy. Sometimes it takes a minute, but you know, in the end, it's like I appreciate that you're taking the time to talk to me, and I'm sure that you've been more than appreciative to me and flexible with schedules. So
Oh hell yeah, man. Eric, thank you so much, bro. Honestly, Eric, I would like to know more about your background in the music industry, or and also how you started playing instruments, and how, if you can just walk me through this how you how Eric Jayk started as a musician.
okay, well, it's very easy. I got MTV when I was a kid, and um, it was brand new to me, and I was flipping through like TV stations. And okay, keep in mind, like my first two albums were Thriller and Purple Rain, right? And so, but I was young, and like, I guarantee that, within like, a 5 year, 6 year, 7 year span of age ranges, everybody's first record were those two records. But I had never seen like anybody who looked like Steven Tyler and Joe Perry from Aerosmith, or like Guns N' Roses, and like I was just like, it's not really hard to like go figure. Now all these years later, I'm in a band that's kind of a similar kind of music, and I think like like your early exposure to music like changes your whole life and changes your whole thinking about everything, and your ear on music for the rest of your life. Now, like, with that said, like I also like listen to a lot of different kinds of music, and like I went to jazz guitar school for so like it's not the only thing I listen to, and it's not the only kind of music I like or I love, but it almost feels easy to do sort of this this one particular style, because it's like it's like in my body, it's like inborn.
Mhm.
So in around 2005, 2006, I was writing some songs with some songwriters, and my band was breaking up. I was going through like some like kind of like weird things, and so I put an ad for guitar player on Craigslist, and who responded? My best friend Jimmy Marlowe, right? And so Jimmy answered this ad, and he would write, yeah, I was a singer in hardcore bands in San Diego, and I just moved to New York. Do you want to get together? And I was a little off then, so I would be like, yeah, hey, dude, can you send a picture? And I'd be like, then I'd follow his next email, hey, did you send a picture? And so I had 10 of the same pictures of Jimmy, and I couldn't remember who the dude was. But then he came to our the band I was in at the time's first band practice, and not only did he come there and knew all the songs, he also had recorded new guitar parts on his 4-track cassette recorder, right, of the songs. And he's like, yeah, you might want to take it in this direction. And he was so chill, and so like, like when you meet Jimmy, he's like, oh yeah, that's great, and that's how he's very like, over the top. And so he's like, dude, like after practice that one time, I was like, man, I'm really impressed, right? And he's like, dude, you should stop doing this kind of music, because like the music we were doing was pretty lame, to be honest. Perfectly honest, it was really lame. It was like so like towards the center. And so Jimmy's like, yo, Eric, I think that we should do something like, kind of like over the top, something that makes people rock, because too many people are depressed. And especially like at that time, like it was like all these emo bands, and like it just was it's not what, like, okay, so Wild Street then and Wild Street now are kind of a little different, but it definitely, it was like anti everything that was going on in music then. And so that's why I always say in interviews that we're the band that made Wanting to Be Def Leppard punk rock. Okay, because like it was like it's like so classic, but so different from anything anybody else was doing. Like I've been listening to a lot of like the like, because I love it, like Rest in Sleeves and Crash Diet. What they were doing at that time and what we were doing was not really that similar, but I love their first record. So that's not a bad thing. It's just like what we were trying to do was to be like arena rock, to be stadium rock, and to be like, like a new sort of take on like Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, like everybody that you can think of when you think of what songs are sung most at karaoke, or what songs are played at sports games, at baseball games, football games, soccer games, whatever, and that's that, strip clubs. It's like, that's what we were trying to do. And I think our first record, which was me and Jimmy and the two producers, I had brought songs to Wild Street, because I had co-written them with these two producers and Jimmy. But okay, I'm getting ahead of myself, and I'm probably getting a little boring, but our fans love this song. There's a song of ours called Open Up Your Eyes, and basically Open Up Your Eyes was like, there was no groove, there was no like definition, and there was like it was Jimmy's idea that spawned us into this direction to be to go in like this Def Leppard sort of vein. And then it was both his and my decision to kind of leave that and let that be the past, in recent years. But yeah, so he came up, he's like, yeah, this is easy. I can easily make this song sound like, like whatever. And so he came in and he had that picking guitar part in the verses of Open Up Your Eyes. It's like, it's so reminiscent of Animal or Hysteria, that's what set up everything for doing Wild Street 1. Now, like, keep in mind, we made these sounds, like, it was 4 of us, right? We programmed all the drums. I remember I was programming bass after Jimmy and I were partying too much, and I was like barely standing up, holding like this bottle of Evan Williams, like, programming the MIDI bass. and Jimmy's like, why don't we just get together and hang out? Because we were so crazy. But anyway, so like it was me and these like 2 producers and Jimmy, and we would like stand in the hallway of our producers like Soho basement studio, doing like an entire day's worth of hand claps, and we clap in different parts of the room and layer them and stack them all on each other. And this is like production dork stuff, but this is how authentic we were to this one sound that we had. And like, we used a Rockman X100 guitars like headphone amp, and put that in through a pod to use as a cabinet simulator, because none of us had a Palmer cabinet simulator. So we came up with like these crazy ways to achieve these Def Leppard sounds. Now, since then, like after that, it's hard to want to make the same record again, because it's so heavy. It's like not a band record, right? So, and we had found our band members and we had become a band. And so the obvious result was Wild Street 2, Faster, Louder, right? And that had songs like Poison Kiss, Cocked and Ready. Yeah! The usual.
Powerful.
And that was a whole different thing. We were not trying to make an overproduced record. We were trying to be minimalist and concentrate on making songs that are fun to play live and songs that people can have the same, whatever, the same intensity, the same rock, right?
I think kind of like the feedback, let's say, when they see you guys, they're like, wow, what is that thing? You know, they connect it, let's say.
Exactly. And like to make, like, we had to make a new stage show because a lot of the songs on our first record were very mid-tempo, right? And we were a high energy band. So that's why I'm saying like the evolution from what we wanted from the beginning to where eventually where we are now. It's like we redid our stage show. We had these new songs that were like, again, faster, more bandy, more aggressive, right? And so like all of this like you know, led to us releasing Poison Kiss and then Easy Does It, and having those videos come out, and you know, we started to have fans all over the world. Then we took a break for a little while, and that leads us to about this time. So
I want to take the opportunity of this answer you gave me to go back, like, you know, to the history of the band. So you met Jimmy, and then how the other cats join in?
Well, okay, so I have really good luck on Craigslist. So it turns out that the guy who was Jimmy and I played a few shows in New York City to try to find band members while we had a Craigslist ad going. And so I hired our producers' friends who were really great musicians, and they just were our bandmates. And so we put on exactly what Wild Street's early shows was, just with a hired band, right? And the person who ended up, I'll just say his name. His name was Brian Beck, he was our drummer for a long time. And he's a great drummer. The person who I hired was in the band that he was touring in before him, and then he left that band and moved to New York, and somehow he answered our Craigslist ad. So it was like kind of like a no-brainer. He showed up for the audition. He didn't even learn the songs, but he was such a good drummer that he just got, you know, did fine. So we knew he was right away. And then our old bass player Ali, I put like a Craigslist ad up that said like, we're looking for Nikki Sixx, and so he joined the band. He was
awesome.
We were like, okay. He came to my apartment. I was living in the East Village then, and we just hung out, you know, like whatever. Like he was like a recording engineer, and he was really quite good at like mixing and recording. And so he was our bass player, and then we had a few different like guitar players, and then we met this guy Keith Robert. And anybody who's listened to Wild Street 2 Faster Louder knows, you know, Cocked and Ready says Keith Robert right before the guitar solo. Anyway, he was the best audition I ever had. He comes in to like Beck, me and Jimmy and Ali were all recording at Ali's, or rehearsing at Ali's studio in Times Square, right? So it's like this awesome recording studio in the penthouse, right? And so he comes in.
Oh my God!
It was amazing. The place is legendary because Tupac was shot there in the
19 something.
Yeah, in the lobby or something.
Yeah.
So we were all the way at the penthouse. So Keith shows up. He's dressed for playing Madison Square Garden. He brings his super old Marshall Plexi 4x12 and his head. He was really particular about his tone, but he had a great tone. That's why, you know. So he shows up and he's like doing like jump kicks and like jumping everywhere, and he's playing like, you know, 60% right, but it didn't matter because he was the right dude for the gig, you know. And so like then everything fell in place because we had the right band, right? And so we signed to this label Retrospect in 2009. The story is Ali Ali had written the president of Retrospect, hey, you should sign us and we should play Rocklahoma, and or something, like something, one sentence, right? And Sam, the owner of that label, wrote back and was like, oh my God, like this is the best thing I've ever seen. and he put us on tour for 10 and a half weeks in the US. We pounded the pavement. It eventually led to the band breaking up, I gotta say, because we were all overwhelmed, because none of us,
Imagine.
like, we never had, like, I had some tour experience, but my tour experience mostly was either playing hired gigs, right, as a guitar player, or and playing with Sandra Bernhardt, which was like, that's like luxury, man. It's like you're in nice hotels, people treat you like you're a normal person. When you're on tour with a rock band, you learn very fast that you got to make it work. You, like, if you have to sleep on some girl's dorm floor, then you do it. And
sometimes on the stage,
but let me say this: any band who wants a fan base that's real, that's not a bunch of social network BS. If you're like, rock fans are your fans for life. Okay,
True.
Pound the pavement, go on tour, work hard, like, because it not only is it fun, it makes you a band, and also you will have a fan base. Okay, much like a lot of last year, a lot of my life, like from 2019 until the present, has been reconnecting with all our fans and our audience, because like we took this break for 3 years, but also, like, I wasn't very present on social networks for a while. I was like not really, like, I was just not present because I was doing other things, like so then I would DM. I'd spend nights DMing like, I have 3 Facebook accounts. It's like it's like 15,000 people if you think about it, and I didn't get to all of them, but it's like a lot of people, and I would like write them, and mostly one by one, but like like there's a little bit of copying and pasting because I'm only human, but like. The whole idea was to reconnect with our audience, and we had an audience, and it was astounding how many people like really like cared that we were still playing. So so Keith joined. We went on tour. Then we got off the tour, and we started working on Wild Street 2, Faster Louder, and we recorded that very fast, whereas Wild Street 1 took years, and Wild Street 3 took many, many years. Wild Street 2 was done, in like 6 months. Like me and my friend Kyle was involved. He co-wrote Wanna Get It On, and he's the one who I've written like Three-Way Ride with, Easy Does It, Poison Kiss, Cocked and Ready, Hot Licks. He's like the main co-writer besides Jimmy, and he was our producer, and he and I just write really good rock songs really fast together, like in an hour. Easy Does It was written in an hour. It's like, because we both know exactly what we're, what the band needs, and then we are able to communicate pretty well, because I'm a music dork, so I know he's able to understand what I'm saying, and I'm able to understand his producer speak, you know what I mean? So
Eric, and back then until now, the way how I understood, you guys had some different cats jumping the band, right?
Yeah. Now, okay, all the history, the stuff leading up to where we are now, to me, doesn't really seem very important. I don't say it because I want everybody to get a complete picture. Wild Street right now is the band. it's the band that we wanted. Okay, I have a really great drummer and lead guitar player. They're very young. They joined the band when they were 18. Dominic Martez is guitar player, Lock Driver. For all of you listening or watching this, you should go follow them on Instagram. Go check out their Facebooks and stuff. You know, like it's like two like absolutely 100% talented people, like the most talented people and the easiest to get along with bandmates I've ever had. Right. And so they joined the band, and our bass player was a friend of mine, and I was playing bass in his band, and I asked him, his name is Johnny D'Ambrosio, right? And Johnny D.
I think I've heard the name before.
And he does like crazy videos on Instagram and stuff, and they're hilarious. And he's a great artist. He's a great musician. He's a great friend. He's a great bass player. You know, he's just like a cool dude to hang out with. Now we have like we're like any like pro band. We have like a few different people who rotate in and out of Wild Street. We have my buddy Aaron, who he's a singer in this band called King to Burn that I produce. And he's a great guitar player. He sometimes plays bass for us when Johnny can't make it, and he fills in for Jimmy when Jimmy can't make it. And another awesome singer and singer-songwriter, and like my friend Felix Skyver, and his band is called Skyver. Locke plays in his band. I met Locke through Felix. Because Felix and I had a band between Old Wild Street and New Wild Street that was called Rave the Kill. And so we